Thursday game week. Beautiful day out there. I hope we'll get a great crowd on Saturday. Obviously, 11 o'clock kickoff, and on Memorial Day, or I'm sorry, on Veterans Day, 11th day of the 11th month at the 11th hour to kick off. I think that's kind of a cool little thing in Memorial Stadium. We'll do some things to honor that. That'll get released over here the next 24, 48 hours as far as our team. From a health standpoint, Reggie went all this week, and I know a week ago at this time I said the same thing, but I'm fully confident he's going to play. Everything was really good on the day after. Him and Keith both. When you have an ankle issue, right, like when you practice, sometimes it goes well while you practice. The next night can lead to a little different action. And both those guys were really strong here today after having a full week of practice. So excited for those guys. I think that group in particular, the D-line and the running backs, have been through a lot of ups and downs. The D-line, especially with the suspension of Johnny last week, that a lot of new faces popped up, Bryce Barnes in particular, and then the running back room. What those guys have done has just been awesome. I give a lot of credit to the coaches and the players there. From a perspective of the game against Indiana, like last year, this is a game that we played them early in the season. Now to play them at the back end when they've got not 9 games behind them as well. They're a 3-6 team, looking for every opportunity to get on the board. Played a scrappy game last week against Wisconsin, so I know we're going to get a really tough game on Saturday. Excited to get out there. So, with that, open up question.
How much does what Indiana did in the beginning of the season inform now, given that they've kind of changed?
Yeah. During their bye week, they had to transition and change the offensive coordinator. I've known Coach Carey for a long time. You can definitely see there's a lot of things that have changed, but also very, very true to what they are. Have a lot of respect for Coach Allen, and I think the way they play the game is his personality. I thought that a year ago, and then now to see it 9 games into this year, you see some playmakers emerge, and there are changes, but there's also a lot of similarities as well through the whole year.
Has Luke been able to practice?
Yeah, Luke, Monday, there's some things that kicked in right after the game. Tuesday, we were hopeful that he was going to get involved a little bit on Wednesday, but that got pushed back, so he hasn't officially been cleared, but kind of planning that way. I feel that everything's going to come through. The neat thing about playing these back half of the game, for us, as a home game, you can only travel 74 to a road game, right? So to play at home, all freshmen, everybody's open, right? So had different guys popping in there, giving a series of quarterbacks. Obviously, John has had a really good week. He's had really good fall camp to where we are today, even though you guys just saw him for the most part in the live situation. I think the way our guys responded because of the way he's kind of played all fall.
So does Luke need practice? Like if he got cleared, say on Friday, would you be comfortable?
I would. I think 9 games into it, I think just because of who he is and what he's able to accomplish. But the quarterback position's unique, right? We've even dabbled with Cal Swanson, who brings a different skill set, right, than everybody else. He's got nothing to lose. We pop him out there as a redshirt as a freshman because he's got a different skill set really than those other guys, right? So at the quarterback position, between Cal, John, obviously Donovan, and Luke, if he gets in there, right? Those are kind of all different quarterbacks to prepare for.
How does it change with Reggie if he's back in that running back rotation?
Well, I think Caden would be the guy, and then I think Reggie just coming back from where he is. He's been gone, 6 weeks now, 5 weeks. I don't think he's ready for a 50-play game, but I think he's ready for a 20, 30-play game, and how many ever carries that plays out. And Reggie, even during his entire time here before the angle, he's a very good situational back. He's very aware, very intelligent. He's played a lot of football. He's always just kind of come in and made a play happen. So I think him and Caden would take the bulk load of what it is, and we'll kind of figure the rest of it out.
You haven't maybe had that combo really
Correct.
This season. What was that? What do you like maybe about the two of those playing off each other?
Yeah, it was kind of the way the game started at the beginning of the year with Reggie and Josh, right? And then you lost Josh out of there, and then obviously lost Reggie at the time. To have Caden playing the way he is now as a pretty secured early down back. There's some things he's got to continue to go, but Reggie with the experience he has, I think it gives you a little bit more of a complete tandem. Really, in my entire career, it's never been really. Chase last year was kind of a featured back, I would say, compared to those other two. But I've always kind of had 2 guys, and a lot of times they were not opposites but different types, and I think the combination of those 2 together give us kind of a little different feel, Reggie to Caden, and obviously sub it back in a different back on third.
Have you gotten, I would assume you've gotten a lot out of Robbie on special teams this year. That you hoped. And, the opening kickoff last Saturday kind of proves what's going on there.
One of our goals last week was to run the ball, stop the run, and cover kicks, and then literally, but Ryan Mead especially, Dish in that regards, Dish didn't know anything about Ryan Mead taking his job, right? And the way Ryan Mead has been able to grow his role this year as a special teams player, just awesome to watch, see it unfold. He made that happen. I think on the point of attack last week on that kickoff coverage, you had literally like 2 or 3 non-scholarship players that were making big plays there and making some things happen. So I've been very happy with Dish, both as a tight ends coach and a special teams coach, and obviously the way we've been able to handle special teams overall. Kind of had the one blunder, a couple blunders against Penn State, and I know no one took that harder than him. And since then, like it literally, even like this morning's meeting, I have the first meeting of the day at 7, and Dish always follows me, and his meeting this morning was just outstanding. I just think he brings so much to the room as a teacher.
It seems like Seth Coleman, the light kind of switched on for him the last few weeks.
Yeah.
What's been different for him?
You know, Seth is big, long, athletic, intelligent, twitchy. I really thought coming in this year he'd be, somebody that really, did kind of what he's done here the last couple games. Hopefully it's a sign of more to come. I think he's, last year it was the first year really on the immersion onto the scene, and then he had the one game he missed like a game and a half with a concussion, but kind of came on strong. This fall he's kind of had a couple nothing that's kept him out of the game, but he's had a couple of injuries I think that affected him during the course of the week and on game day, and finally getting those things healed up. So I'd really love for him to continue the growth here the last 3 games, see where it goes.
Brett, I know you said you're just focused on Indiana, but when we talked to your veterans after the game on Saturday, they talked about how November is the time you want you guys to play your best. And last year it didn't so much happen, and there was talk about usually in November we play our best football.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen that kind of flip right
Well,
now? That as the calendar flip?
I always think of perspectives, right? Like before I got here, I think anybody that played against me, especially in this league, I'd always had a strong finish in November, and it's something I've really applied on. And in our first year being here, we finished up 5-7, but I think anybody at the end of the year would not have wanted to play us, right? And then last year, we came out of that bye week, beat Nebraska, get to 7-1, and then we had 2 hiccups against Michigan State and Purdue, which were tough. Go to Michigan and play our tail off. It's a 1-play game, which now everything makes everything interesting, right? And then to play the way we did against Northwestern. And I think the bowl game in that moment, right, like to lose the guys that we lost because they weren't playing. We did play well, but obviously the numbers didn't reflect it. So there's been a huge influence. And then like this year, just to be full transparency, with 4 games left, I gave them a November calendar with every day of the week, whether it's going to be prep or an off day on Monday where they got overtime, game days on Saturday, and I hope they're just marking off that calendar day by day because that's what we're doing as coaches.
You brought up the Michigan thing, so I'll ask about it.
Indirectly, probably.
I know, but you brought it up. Have you looked back at that game and thought, well, that was kind of hinky or that was kind of weird? They happen to know exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate the question. Obviously, we don't play them this year, so
Right.
I haven't really. You just
Right.
get so consumed where you're at. But listen, when the point in time comes where I can say something, I'll have a lot to say. I went in this conference. I played in this conference. I coached in this conference at 2 different schools.
Sure.
I remember being in this league as a head coach at another place where I literally got a call from a coach the day after we played them. They called our people during the course of the game. It was Fitz at Northwestern. We were in a home contest there, and he called me and said, yesterday we had a chance that your signals were coming over our headsets.
Oh, wow.
He told his people to put them down, change the channel, and competed in the game, right? And
Okay.
I thought the highest moment of integrity, here's a moment, right? And what's being discussed said, I don't really know anything more than what I know. It's kind of, I said this a couple weeks ago, these stories are always so much better when you're not in it because we don't obviously play them. But, in 1992, when I became a GA, I remember my mission in 1992 was to find out when they signaled personnel to go on the field.
Okay.
So that's how I started as a young assistant GA. And you gather information every week that way, which is totally legal, right? Like we got buddies that play at other teams or conferences, right? But if something was going on off campus, like it's been noted, right, that they were at our games before we played that game last year, that opens up that's sickening. It's disgusting, right? But I'll let them figure that part out. And I think as coaches, we just got to hold the integrity of the league. Just everybody's got to feel that everybody's playing by the same rules and kind of go forward from there. So don't got much more than that. I really just kind of focused on Indiana, but it's oblivious that everybody's going to be talking
I'll
about it.
keep asking. So.
Yeah, I got you.
Can I ask about Kate? Like there was a metric he got for like 20 miles
Yeah.
an hour on that run. Deceptively fast, I think. Like what kind of speed does
I
he
appreciate the question, but really, when we watched him play first, right? When I watched his film, I do this thing that you count their strides every 5 yards, right? And there was a film where he was, and I kind of calculated what I thought his 40 would just by watching film over the last, 15, 20 years. And then we got a chance to be around him live in the games. His senior year in film, there was a couple times where he was able to get out in front and break stride. And once we got him here, he was kind of not healthy in the spring. But this fall, there was a play when he took off, and everybody's just kind of looking around. So I knew what was coming. I think everybody else on the team probably knew. And then Minnesota, when they were pulling away and they kind of took some bad angles, and everybody just kind of eased up. They knew they weren't going to catch him. I think to see someone that big run that well, and hopefully it's just the beginning of many more.